But
I knew
back.
Yeah, I'm back.
You know,
guys.
I about went blank on your name, but we got Buddy back. Buddy was super worried last week about Hooks, so he was like, I'm not even going to come. He waited for Hooks to get the dub, and now he shows up.
Yeah, I was sweating it a little bit. I guess I'll admit that. But, we got that W, and we're on to the next one.
Well, the Hooks fans, I didn't point this out, but a lot of people pointed out that you might not be a true Hooks fan.
Yeah, so that photo you made, that was a real good one. It actually got to my son up at the high school. And
that wasn't a made photo. He was wearing the Redwater hat.
Yeah.
We all know you're a Redwater fan.
That's right, yeah.
And then, on top of that, a lot of people noticed that I was at the game before you Friday, and I left after you. What kind of Hooks fan is that possible?
First off, you showed up for the tailgate deal by the Tunnel Crew has-beens. Go over eating free hot dogs. I had
one hot dog.
They said 5 or 6, but
they're lying.
But we unveiled our new run through, so I was behind the scenes having to get all that set up and make sure our new.
I was there at like 6 o'clock. You were not there.
Well, that's because I was over at the field house getting the tunnel.
No, because that's where I parked. You weren't there either.
Well,
and when I left, you weren't there. Buddy,
No.
you didn't. I mean, I don't know what kind of fan you
You're
actually
gonna have to
are.
get on Live 360 for Morgan.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to. I guess I just need to call you every time I move.
Well, I know when I show up to a Texas High game, Billy's already there.
Well, all right. So,
When I show up to a PG game, Jay's already there.
all right, Billy. After this, I won't have to sit down and take some notes from me. I need to be a better fan. Better fan.
You need to be the first one in there, last one to leave. If you're going to call
Right.
yourself Mr. Hooks, that's what you need to do.
I guess I need to get a key to the gates because I'll lock the gates when the lights go out.
You should
How's
be
that
the guy that turns the lights off.
Oh, that's all the way up in the press box. That's a long walk.
Well, we know you were trying to sit in the air condition last week.
No, that's a lie. That's not true. You know where I stood the whole time. I was down there on the field, so you just tell everybody that's not true.
You're a better man than me because I will find that air conditioning.
Right.
You ain't going to have air conditioning tomorrow night.
Yeah. I might
Better bring a fan.
I might during timeouts.
Billy, I got a message last night that you have denounced yourself from the Razorbacks and have admitted that the Hogs will not win a national championship this
Negative
year.
Ghost
And
Rider.
Hog Nation
No.
has decided they want your tattoo removed at all costs.
No, we are undefeated, bro. Undefeated. The bad part is we don't get a chance to play Texas this year, so we don't get that dub on the schedule. But
It's coming.
It's
It's coming soon.
6-6 does get you in the bowl game though.
Yeah, but Arkansas tells us that every year.
It does. It does.
Speaking of Arkansas, why does KJ Jefferson look like a 50-year-old man?
He's almost 50.
He's been here 9 years.
Don't hate on him. I think he's going to have a good year.
Hey, he's a dude. He's a dude.
He's a big dude.
Great kid.
Morgan gets likes when he hates on the Hogs, so it's,
I'm not hating on. I'm just telling you what the chat rooms are saying.
I'm saying 7-5, and it's
Who are y'all losing to? Because y'all don't look like y'all have a tough schedule.
LSU.
Okay, I can see that.
The Scarlet Letter.
Well, Western
Florida.
Michigan.
Florida.
No, we won't lose to Florida. They got
don't
Sunbelt
think
Billy
Florida's-
down
I
there.
don't think so. They got what?
They call him Sunbelt Billy.
Oh no.
Anyway, Billy doesn't know who Razorbacks play, evidently. All right, Ben, give us your players of the week.
All right.
With Texarkana Friday Night Lights.
This week, we came up with actually the same players that Game Day did. First, we'll start with David J. Potter. He was 16 for 27, 317 yards, 4 touchdowns. In my opinion, the best game the kid's ever played. He was nails, and anybody that was there, I was there the whole game. He was amazing.
But,
He was there the whole game, buddy.
I know. So I was driving home from
Longer
Harmony.
than Buddy.
I was driving home from Harmony that night, and so actually I got to catch most of the game. I never realized how big the kid was. He's a big dude.
He's been that tall, but his body over the summer, and it was pure hard work. You should have seen his workout regimen and how many times he worked out and just all of the stuff that he did. But man, I noticed in that first scrimmage that the zip on his balls is different this year. He's getting the ball out quicker. Just everything looks better.
Yeah, and he punished that defensive back that one time going out, and I was like,
Yeah.
man, look at that, throwing that shoulder down there.
Yeah, don't really want him doing that, but he took the opportunity to take care of a DB.
Now,
I think he's going to create a lot of excitement for Texas High and their fans this year. And when you do have plays like that where he takes it to a defensive player, all that's going to do is build up the team big time, get him, and they're already behind him.
I was on the sideline. It was on the visitor sideline that happened, but everybody on the Texas High sideline went nuts. It was cool.
All right, now on our defensive side, we've got Jamon Wheeler of Pleasant Grove, 8 tackles, 7 for loss, 2.5 sacks. Really looked like he had 16 tackles. Jay was there. He was all over the field, and he was clearly the best kid on the field for both teams.
Well, at the end of last year's season, he really started separating himself and sort of, creating what he was going to have for his senior year. And then the work that he put in this summer, I mean, I identified pretty quick that he was going to be a difference maker for that PG defense. And he definitely, proved himself. And, Pleasant Grove had to have the defense step up this past week. So congratulations to both of them.
Man, I watched a lot of the second half of that game, and I don't know that anybody else made a tackle. I mean, every time I looked up, it was 18 in the backfield.
Yeah, I went back and I went back and watched all the highlights from it, and that kid was just whipping that offensive line. I mean, he was always causing trouble. I mean, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I'm sure other teams are watching him on film and realizing, hey, we got to do something about him.
What year is he?
He's senior.
Senior.
Yeah.
Shout out to those guys. Great games played by them. I'd say honorable mention, Nate Wall scored a passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown, or maybe not a rushing touchdown, but a receiving touchdown as well.
All three.
All three. And in like maybe 2.5 quarters or something.
He got hurt.
Yeah. Oh, Arkansas High added a game tomorrow.
Really?
Yep.
I don't know that.
They're going to, somewhere. I got a text here. I'll tell y'all so we know.
Somewhere near McGee.
Yeah, they were like, we're playing Hamburg on Friday, and then he's like, game is canceled now. And then
Scottie
he said,
Pippin's from Hamburg.
And then he said, game is back on. And I said, you better punish them for this.
That should be a game that Arkansas High wins. Ashdown went over there and won 18-15 and got a late 4th down stop. So looks like the Hogs should be 2-0.
How about a little revenge for my alma mater? How about go
went
and
to
lose?
Arkansas.
You did. Don't forget, 58-0 when they went there last year, and come back at Arkansas High and beat them 58-0 this year.
Coach Outlaw's got it going on.
He does have that program in the right direction.
See, Scott Norton's watching. What's up, Scott? Yeah. See, Mr. Rowe is watching from Rowe Casa.
Yeah,
Organics. Buddy, you need to get on that.
What's that?
Make your skin look a little bit better.
Oh man, I know.
It'll make the red pop in the beard.
Hey,
That's good. I need to get my. I mean, he doesn't have any salt in his. I got.
Hey, there's a
He
few of
uses
them coming
just for
through.
men.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
They don't make it in red. Though.
I tried to buddy up with old Mr. Rocasa and tried to get some discounts on the products, but he just didn't want to give me no discounts. So.
Discounts.
Don't have to.
Yeah, see, you see how Buddy does?
Yeah.
He's like, these are
I
for-profit
heard
business.
he went to the Tunnel Crew Has-Beens tailgate thing and tried to take an entire basket of their bratwurst. He said, "Oh, I'm taking it to the press box."
I just want to know, can you sing?
Can I sing?
Yeah. I think you can pull off Oliver Anthony.
Oh man, that's the first time I've heard that one though. But
They look like.
that's a. I mean, as popular as he is, that's a good comparison.
Next week.
Yeah.
Next week we could probably do a couple segments.
Yeah, we can do that.
Sweet.
We're not going to do that. I'm going to be out of town, but y'all do not allow that to. I won't be here the next 2 weeks.
Oh, so you have no control then? Donovan, he'll let us do it.
Ben is going to have to talk for 2 weeks.
Yeah, no,
2 whole weeks.
He said what?
Ben's the leader for 2 weeks.
All right, Bird versus PG. Jay, what do you think?
I think that this is going to be a better game than last year because we're not going to have any rain. And I think Pleasant Grove and Bird's going to be a good matchup. Bird's coming off of losing, I think, 23 starters. And this is going to be their first game of the season. So I know that they're coming into this, with a lot of questions. I think Pleasant Grove had some of theirs answered. So I expect this to be a good game through about the third quarter, and Pleasant Grove's going to size up on Bird. So I do think that there may be some wearing down on Bird, but
Bird is a much larger school, though.
They are, and I looked at their roster, and it's about 2 times larger than Pleasant Grove. But as far as just size of the players, Pleasant Grove's going to have an advantage.
23 starters.
Well, they got two returning starters. They got their kicker, and I want to believe a linebacker.
What kind of math are they
That's
doing?
a bunch of. Oh, no wonder they beat PG last year.
So
They had 23 guys on the field.
They still return two somehow.
Well, on my this is what I've got on it. You've got quarterback JP Gallman. They run old school option. He's kind of the guy that keeps that team going. And then you've got Abram Murray, that is a kicker committed to Miami of Florida. Last year they brought about 100 kids and they had about 60 seniors. This year they have monumentally more sophomores and juniors on the roster. If they can confuse PG with the option, they can have some success, maybe pull away. But I see it coming down to, basically Carter Buxton versus Abram Murray, 2 to 3 point game in the end. But what we got to do is we got to be able to move the ball. And I think you're going to see a much improved PG offense this week.
yeah, Murray hit one from 47 in their scrimmage game, so we definitely have 2 legs in the game for sure.
Yeah, I went and watched PG, their scrimmage against Mount Pleasant, and they moved the ball at will. And I just didn't see that in this game, and I look for Coach Gibson to have them back on track. There's no way that they should be held under 10 points, 20 points. I mean, I think they come out, and I think this will be a statement win for them.
Lance will be out this week, probably the next couple of weeks at least. But going out in that Brock game, I mean, they utilize him so much to make linebackers leave the box, and with him going out, that kind of took that away. So that definitely, I mean, I wasn't there, but I'm assuming that hurt them pretty bad.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely started, basically. I'm gonna say a blitz almost every
Well,
down.
they pinned their ears back and came. I mean, 99% of the time. And if Lance is there, that don't work because he's gonna be out there by himself in the flats.
Yeah. Defense played great.
No, defense played great. I was very, very impressed with the defensive line, and then even more impressed with the defensive backs. They really, even though I will give up, Brock, their quarterback, he's a dude, and he's going to have a lot of success this year. But the defensive backs really, had some great coverage to be able to put the pressure on the quarterback, and hopefully that's what we'll see again this week from Pleasant Grove. I did one of the things I love about playing Bird. Of course, this is only the second time Pleasant Grove's played them. But they've got a gentleman who has been calling their games for about 25 years, and he puts together about a 10-page presser that he keeps updated and sent out. And one of the stats that he shares is this year's Bird team, they have 5 sets of brothers.
Wow.
on their team, and that right there is pretty impressive because when you start thinking of Gilmer. They've had a few brothers and cousins and had some success. And so when you've got a younger brother looking up to big brother and already knowing what's going on, that's how you start building these legacies. And I think this is Bird's 119th season of playing football.
And you're probably, with that, losing that many starters, you're probably getting them at a good time because I bet as the year goes along, because these guys couldn't have been playing varsity, football last year. So you're going to get them early and I think it'll be a good game.
I do too.
How about Gilmer giving up 71 points last week?
Man, that blew me away too when I first seen that. And I got a classmate, Brent Sims, which is Billy's son. I graduated with. His son's the running back, number 9 for Gilmer. So I seen some of his highlights that he had posted. But yeah, that 71 really kind of blew me away that their defense had gave up that much.
I saw Chapel Hill play at the Star 2 years ago, I guess, in a playoff game. They lost late. But I remember they put this quarterback in, was a sophomore at the time. And I remember thinking, like, dude, this dude is freaking good.
Right.
And of course, he's a senior now. And I know they didn't return a whole lot, but that kid must just have, obviously he went off, putting up 71 points.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if that really exposed Gilmer's defense or maybe that just Chapel Hill's just that good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Chapel Hill's loaded. They've got multiple D1 kids. They got 2 kids going to SMU that are both 4 stars with.
Is this Tyler Chapel Hill?
Yeah.
Yes, they have a who's who offer. I mean, they have a chance to beat China Springs in that 4A Division I, but giving up 71 is still kind of a red flag.
And Carthage could have very well got beat by Kilgore. 30-27 win for Carthage.
definitely a close one for sure.
It's not what we're kind of used to seeing from Carthage. Of course, it's week 1. I don't know if anybody just played great outside of Texas High's offense.
Right, you know, week 1, I really hate to do the predictions of week 1 because you really don't never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know if you're going to have to make some defensive changes, offensive changes. Of course, everybody's going to have their own little struggles trying to get everything straightened out. Of course, we've seen that in Hooks. Pleasant Grove's seen it. Of course, and then I watched the Texas High game coming home on Thursday night. They faced some struggles but overcame them and, put a W on the board. But
they always say between the first and the second game is when they're most, what's the word I'm looking for, Morgan? Most adjustments, the most improvements between that first and second game. So we'll see.
Yeah, right. I mean, you find out where, a kid in practice or a scrimmage, a controlled scrimmage, you might need to adjust the kid somewhere else or flip him to the other side of the field. So I see a lot of changes going into the second week and a lot more disciplined football. The second week will really tell you where somebody's really headed.
Well, your practices, you've got your ones playing 2s and ones playing 3s. And that first game, when you've got 1s and 1s,
right?
You hear all the time how college, when a young man goes to a college or you see a college, the speed of the game. And so, I think that probably caught a few, wide-eyed this past week. But, like you said, there's normally a lot of growth through the second game.
Right, and then there's always that excitement. Hey, that first game under them Friday night lights, stands packed, the awe of it, Hey, it's
hair on my arms is standing there right now. You just saying that.
Hey, I'm telling you, man. I mean, it's just a weird feeling you get. I mean, if you don't like Friday night football, when the band's playing, you hear the cheerleaders hollering, the fans screaming. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with you if you don't like that.
Tell us about the atmosphere the other night at Hooks.
Man, of course you were there, so it's a packed house, man. I think we're gonna have to add some bleacher space. I mean, there was nowhere to sit in the bleachers. I stood down towards the concession stand into the track all night, standing room only. We're going to have to do some modifications to our bleachers. We're going to have to add some. I mean, it's like the whole town shut down and came out, and
Harmony didn't travel that well.
So, and not to knock Harmony at all, but if, DCAB that had brought a lot of fans over just to watch us. They were filling up part of their stands, and the only reason I really kind of know that is because I know some of the players from over there, and I know some of the parents. So I seen them coming across. They wanted to sit on the Hook side, but we had no room for them, so they had to go help Harmony out over there. They had to mix a little orange with that red over there.
Powerhouse.
This guy, he's too much. How about Ellie Paris?
Well, you look in week 1, Paris and LE both lost. Paris got drummed pretty good. LE, it's 28-14 game, but they come in as a 14-point favorite, so that had to be a disappointment. It decides who bounces back, who's got their mind right, who don't lay down. And with LE, you got to have your stars step up because you're going to have more talent overall than Paris. You got to have Prevost, Hadaway, Jones, Coleman, and London come out and have a big game, make a statement.
Paris always has dudes. I feel like you're disrespecting them a little bit.
They're a little down the last 2 years.
We're not talking about North Lamar. We're talking about Paris.
No, we're talking about the Paris Wildcats.
I disagree. They always have some dudes.
Well,
but they got to figure out how to get the ball to Prevost in space.
And I think that you do that through Greg London having a good evening. I think with Greg being able to run against Paris, I think that they'll be able to do that. If the reason why I say that is Paris is only up on paper to me. I think when they match up, man to man, I think Liberty Outlaw pulls this out.
Well, the Henderson coach, if you watch his post-game interview, he said, we keyed on Prevost the entire game. So I'd heard Prevost had like 10 targets, and evidently those were 10 wasted plays because, if you're keying on the guys, chances of success are going to be pretty low, even as great of an athlete as he is. So I don't know. I watched a half of that game and listened to most of it. And it didn't seem like I was hearing Prevost's name a lot, which means they're just going to have to get super creative, which I'm sure they will. It's just he's getting so much press that these teams are like, you know what, if y'all beat us, he's not going to beat us.
Right. I feel the same way. And I sometimes just me, myself, I hate that for the kids that get so much press that I feel like I ain't going to say that the other team coaches say, hey, don't let him do this. But I feel the players get together and be like, hey, we're not going to let him show out on us.
We're going to let anybody else beat us.
Yeah.
Right.
Brian Bolt says there's no place like Grim Park on Friday nights when Billy gets that smoke rolling.
Hey,
well, Mr. Bolt, you have not been standing down there when the wind blows that smoke into your face.
Billy, so you're in charge of the smoke?
Yeah, kind of.
Hey, so I kind of got a little beat up.
They want some smoke at Hooks.
He's getting ready to steal the idea.
No. So we unveiled our new tunnel, right? I said that, and one of the kids, I can't remember which one it was, he was in the tunnel, and he's like, Mr. Money, where's the smoke at? And I was like, hey, the smoke machine's on the way. You don't worry about that smoke machine. You get in there and worry about playing this football game.
That's right. We don't want them. Of course, you don't want the smoke to get to get in their face or
Oh,
anything
right.
like that. But
really?
But those kids, they get jacked up.
Right.
There's no doubt about that. But no, there's.
Shout out to Healthcare Express for that new Hooks tunnel. Looks nice.
Man, I'm gonna tell you something. Healthcare Express, they went out above and beyond for us. I reached out and they had no problem with it, and we appreciate everything they've done for us with that tunnel.
Billy, Danny Heflin said he was great pregame. Where were the fireworks?
They're coming. You can't just. This is a slow, steady rise to the top. We don't want to.
We expect fireworks every game.
It's just
you
like
got a
the
burn
teams
ban.
have to grow.
Listen.
You have to
listen.
grow.
The fireworks.
The farmer says we have a burn ban.
The fireworks on Friday night were on the field.
Especially
This
in the
is
first
true.
half.
Yeah.
41 points scored in the first
Which
quarter.
some of my smoke and fireworks have ended up on the field pregame, so we don't want to talk about that.
Jerry looked like he was about to lose his mind in that first
Yeah.
quarter.
Well, there were some mistakes made. He's getting them corrected.
I personally enjoyed it.
Oh,
It was really exciting.
It just
There was actually it was the tunnel crew guys. They on their little podcast they talked about the game. And one of them said it was his first time to ever go to Grimm Stadium and watch a game, and he said, "Man, it felt like a college atmosphere."
It's pretty cool. It's to me, it's a lot more cool once it gets dark, and so it's not ever dark. The first of the year, it's not dark at the first of the game, but when it's later in the year, and you got over the last 4 or 5 years, Coach Stanford's got them just rolling. It gets crazy.
Yeah, I could tell from watching on I guess Game Day produced that.
Yeah.
Who else would?
Well, Tiger Vision Game Day.
Okay.
They talk about hey, not the slide Game
ESPN.
Day.
Did you watch it on the radio? I was disappointed Frisco didn't bring their band. What's up with that? Who doesn't bring their band?
I didn't notice that.
Well, you weren't there.
Yeah, I
Who doesn't
wasn't.
bring their band? Billy?
It's a long way. We don't worry. We always take
I'm
about
about to say,
19 buses, and
I know. It just seemed odd to me for a 5A school to.
yeah, I don't know.
Could you imagine like Longview or Texas High going
No.
somewhere and not bringing their band?
No,
It's about $1,000 to $1,200 a bus to
I'm sure they
bring
have.
some
It.
kiddos.
Sure they have it up there in Frisco.
or more.
All right, I see next one, Redwater at Atlanta.
All right, last
Buddy?
Go ahead.
What?
What do you think?
Oh man, I'm gonna let Ben take the lead on
Okay,
this.
all
We'll
right.
let Ben talk.
All right, well, last week you got two teams that won. Atlanta beat the brakes off Elysian Fields. Redwater won a high-scoring shootout with Wascom. Really, it's a big win for both teams. Wascom, they could be a little down, but they're still only picked behind Harmony
I
and
feel like
Dangerfield.
Wascom has had talent for years. Just the name Wascom right there, you got to put some respect on it. I mean, I keep hearing that Wascom's down, but
But they're still
let's give Redwater their roses.
Absolutely. It's one of them deals. The more I look at it, that's a better win for Redwater than a lot of people realize.
Oh yeah, I mean, and the fact that like somebody had to schedule that game, whether they're up, down, same, you still scheduled Wascom.
Right. Just I know absolutely nothing about Wascom, but all I know is in the past, anytime you heard Wascom, is they were winning, deep in the playoffs, doing something good.
This may be Redwater's year.
Well, I think Redwater goes to playoffs, even if they stay consistent, stay healthy, because here's the thing. Wascom is better than Paul Pewitt, and that's who they're going to be fighting. And New Boston showed Redwater could be that third guy in that conference there. And if you're beating the third guy in Harmony and Dangerfield's district, there's no reason to think you can't get to that third spot in your own.
Quez said they're coming for Buddy's throat this year.
Hey, they got some athletes over there. They got the big quarterback, Gavin Carroll. I mean, I can't remember his stats. I seen a picture.
He played really well. The running back played really well.
Right.
And of course, Quez did as well.
So, I mean, it was a shootout type game. Seemed like it was 40. I think the final score was 44-40. But they had the grit to win it. And tough it out. And you can't take that W away from them.
Atlanta's running back. Did he have like 340?
No, that was Jefferson's running back.
Oh, okay.
He had 370, 4 touchdowns on, I want to say, 16 carries.
And he's the one that's got the Michigan offer.
He has Michigan, Texas Tech, among others.
Right.
Don't go to Michigan. Stay in Texas, please.
Yeah, for me in that game, I'm going to give the edge to Atlanta, just because it's at Atlanta. That's another good facility to be able to play in.
I don't ever not pick Atlanta.
And the fans show up.
Really ever.
Right.
Atlanta's a little bigger school.
I bet you if you bet on Atlanta for the last 10 years, every week you're going to win.
I don't know how many state track meets or championships they won, but man, at their football stadium, if you look up across the top of that row, I mean, there's I think one football, or maybe two football, but the rest of them state track. I mean, they got some kids with some speed over there.
It's boring over there. I mean, they take track serious.
Right.
It's not that way everywhere. That's
Coach
really
Moore's doing a good
to.
job with them. I think he's got them heading the right direction as well.
And they all play football.
Yeah, I think it's something the community gets behind as well. I went to the track meet. I don't know which one it was, but I went to a track meet, and a lot of people were there. I mean, I'm not really used to a lot of people showing up at a track meet.
Right.
So, and they had it on a Saturday, like you're technically, in my opinion, supposed to. And I don't know. It was just
and another thing about their stadium, if you notice how big their home stands are. There's a reason why them home stands are that big. It's because they pack the house over there, So it's a whole community affair, just like it is anywhere else, I guess. But traditionally, Atlanta is they're going to pack the house on Friday night.
What else you got, Ben?
We got Dangerfield at Tatum. Dangerfield had a convincing win. They should go down there and win. You're going to have Quinn Webb, Aaron Hampton, and Chase Johnson. That's going to be too much for the Tatum Eagles.
Dangerfield by $1 million.
By $1 million?
By $1,000,001, probably.
$1,000,001. It's I was looking back at the highlights and doing all that reading on their game last week, and it's kind of like maybe they struggled a little bit at first, and then they finally said, "Hey, let's get this together." And once they put the gas pedal down, there was no coming back from that.
At the 3A level, like one great player can win you a championship. If you have two great players, you can definitely win a championship. You have 3 or 4 great players, and I mean, you're a problem.
And I've always said this about Dangerfield. Man, they always have some dudes over there. And some of them may be not as recognized as they should be, but they have some players.
They, from a media standpoint, they're in this like area. It's almost like a no-fly zone.
Right.
Like it takes a long time to get there.
Right.
The internet's not great, and then it takes a long time to get back to where you're coming from. So it's like, they're a hard choice to choose. Just their geographic location is very difficult to cover them.
Yeah, and like you say, it's an odd area in Texas because then if you keep going left right there, or I guess straight, don't take the right, you end up in Hugh Springs. And I never knew, growing up, and the 3A has changed a little bit. I didn't even know who Hugh Springs was when I was in school.
I didn't even know where Hugh Springs was till here recently. Like in the last couple of years.
Right.
I think Texas High played a basketball game there or something. And I remember, like, where's Hugh Springs at?
Right.
And why do they have a nice gym?
That was
Hugh
a cool
Springs
atmosphere.
Hugh Springs got a lot of nice stuff.
I know, but it's just odd. Like, all right, well, why did Mod have the exact same setup?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, I wasn't expecting it to be nice.
Yeah, and I hate to even bring this up, but this is about softball over at Hugh Springs. I don't know if their dads built it. I don't know if the school built it, but they have a deck built out in center field on the softball field where it's up, where you can sit on there, and they got a grill on it and everything. And I'm like, well, what are they doing over here? And I was like, I need to talk to Coach Bird down there and see if we can get us
I was
get
about
that
to say.
field.
Well, Buddy ain't going to cook for nobody.
That's right.
Buddy ain't that big of a fan.
No, I'm just showing up to eat people's food. Apparently, that's what you say.
Well, that's what I heard. But before we get off his hooks, man, I was really, really impressed with what I saw. There is no glaring holes on that team. There's no real weaknesses. Tripp going out late with, I'm assuming a season-ending injury, and then Rip stepping up, making that tough fourth down pass while taking a hit. I mean, looked like a professional quarterback standing in there, releasing, throwing the ball right over the top of the head of the defender, and taking a super late hit right in the chin.
He's been groomed for that.
Right.
I still to this day, I can remember when Landon Jackson was a junior. We went to New Boston to watch Little League football. I don't even know why we were there or how it came about, but that's the first time I saw Rip Birdwell play football. He was a quarterback. They were throwing the ball around every single play. Winky Williams was playing for DeKalb.
Oh, yeah.
He went an entire game without getting tackled, literally without getting tackled. And then they played Rip. Rip was a linebacker and the quarterback. And I remember thinking, this is the best Little League quarterback I've ever seen in my life.
Morgan called me on the way home to tell me all that. And so I mean, he saw that in him immediately, and I mean, I remember you.
It's in that Birdwell blood.
When Tripp got injured, and Tripp played a great game, by the way.
Oh, he's a dude for sure.
And Birdwell was coming in. I remember, coming off the sideline, I was like, man, it's your time. Let's do it. And he comes out, right off the bat, makes that play. Right. Had a minute to warm up, and even the refs were like, hey, we'll give y'all some time. And Birdwell was like, no, we don't need time.
So
let's just go right now.
So I've had I guess I'll call it luxury. My son is the same age as Ripken. So I've got to, watch him play all the way growing up. He is everything that you see. He's smart. He's tough. He's determined. He's gonna get something done that he needs to get done. Just like case in point, I had to run by the field house last night. Man, it was well after what time that the kids were let out. Hey, they don't even the kids ain't even letting the coaches go home. They're still in there working. They're in there drawing on the wide erase boards, working on stuff. I mean, the Hooks kids, this team that's assembled right now, I mean, they want something different for Hooks. I mean, they want to go far.
Speaking of Rip, he always just, to me, looks locked in. Every time I see him, and it doesn't matter what sport it is, he just always looks locked in.
Oh, yeah, and believe me, he's passionate about it. I always been set back and got to watch him play. Man, if something happens that doesn't go our way, man, he pours so much into it, and it's tough to see a kid, pour some tears, but them are tears of, hey, I put in all this hard work and things didn't come out my way. But, hey, rest assured, Ripken is going to step in there and do a great job.
Best luck to Tripp on his recovery.
Yeah.
Devastating injury.
Yeah, we hated to lose Tripp. Just like you were talking about Potter earlier, putting in all that work during the summer and all that stuff. Hey, that kid right there, man, the footwork, the continuous work, you just I don't remember kids back in my day working that hard. I mean, he don't take a break. That's all he talks about, his little girlfriend, I actually know her family, and she had no idea what football was until they started dating each other, and now she's over there talking coverages and stuff with him. So the amount of time he pours into it, we hated to see him go down, but hey, he's gonna get over this and he's gonna come back.
Hey, you rewind just a year, and second game for us last year at Texas High, Cody Reese, had earned his way to the starting spot, and he goes down, and Potter comes in. So we didn't miss a beat, and I don't look for y'all to either.
Right.
Let's do this. Let's take a quick 30-second break. We'll bring Coach Stanford on.
We are excited to announce here at Texarkana Emergency Center and Hospital that we have expanded our capabilities to better serve our community. As a hospital, we have the capability for inpatient services. After your outstanding emergency care, we can smoothly transition you into one of our new inpatient rooms that have telemetry monitors in every room to continue your concierge medicine care. While our patients continue receiving their care in their inpatient suites, we also make sure that your loved ones are taken care of with our outstanding facilities. Our added services include a procedure room and also the capability of MRIs. With our imaging, we are able to offer outpatient, inpatient, and emergency room, MRI, CT, ultrasound, and X-ray. We are honored by your support and look forward to serving all your future medical needs.
And we're back on the sideline on a Thursday morning, and we've got the head football coach and AD at Texas High, Coach Jerry Stanford. Welcome, Coach.
Man, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Coach, big win the other night. A lot of people, the talk of the town was, David J's play. And I was thinking back to Brayson as a sophomore and, just how much better he played as a junior. And I'm assuming this comes down to quarterback coach and, the progression of, your QB. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, David J, he really put his mind to it this offseason of kind of what his goals were and where he wanted to get to and kind of what he wanted to be as a quarterback. And not just that, but just a leader for the team. And he's led by example through that, and he's brought a bunch of guys with him to do it. And just the amount of time he put in from April to August has just been amazing. The transformation, not just of his body, but of his mind and the mental capacity to what he was able to withstand within the game, to bring himself from, they always say your sophomore to your junior year is your biggest jump, college, high school, or even NFL type stuff. And I think we're seeing that right now. I think played against a really good defense, particularly one of the better defensive lines that we've seen in a while. And he was able to stand in there and really deliver the ball and do a good job leading us.
Man, the first touchdown to Pilgreen, it was like he looks over in the flats and dials back like he's going to throw, and then just turns it to the middle of the field. It was just beautiful, not something I was expecting, and you could tell that was coached. Like that wasn't like he was taught that. That wasn't something he just did out of reaction.
Yeah, Coach Toombs put in a lot of time with David J. I would say he's like his second son, probably up there in the field house with us. He's up there watching film with us as much as most of the coaches are half the time. And so he's put in his time. He prepared really well last week mentally. Just so much goes into the film watching with the quarterbacks. Man, they really, truly are just an extension of the staff on what's got to be expected running a spread offense. You can't just throw them out there and say, hey, man, take off and let this thing rip.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of mental preparation within this offense that has to take place so kids can capacitate and be able to just function in the game.
And on that play that he's talking about, the catch by Pilgreen and the score, talk a little bit about that and about it looks like to me over the years there hadn't been a whole lot of downfield action with a tight end of ours, and it looks like Knox is able to stretch the field a little bit, and he got behind that guy.
Yeah, the design of the play didn't draw up exactly the way we wanted it to on the film, and Knox really did a great job of adjusting to what the safety did. So going back to the quarterback play and just kids watching film and understanding what we're doing on film, the safety had always backpedaled out in that formation, and Knox was supposed to actually run what we'd call a beater route underneath him. as the safety bailed, we were checking Javari down in the flat as a check down. That's what David J was looking at when you were talking about in the flats. He was checking the linebacker to see if he had dropped or held on the back, which he held on the back. But the safety set flat-footed. And Knox did a really good job of just running by the safety instead of freaking out and taking it over the top of him. And David J was able to see the leverage of the safety to keep the ball high instead of flattening the ball out. And just a ton of that goes back into kids studying film, watching film, understanding the concepts of what we're doing. And it has been an emphasis for us this offseason of getting the tight end the ball more. Caden Miller was really productive. Nate Minnie was productive for us. And so we've gone back to kind of the drawing board of making sure our tight ends are highly involved in our offense.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to say lots of weapons on the field
Yes.
for your offense. And I was just thinking about it a little bit earlier about two things. One is that as a coach, you're like, hey, I've got to get this guy touches. I've got to get this guy touches. I got to get this guy touches because you got so many of them. Right. But also what I noticed from being down on the sideline this year especially is the unselfishness of the players.
Yeah, I think that's what's either going to make or break us this season. I mean, that's something we talk about constantly as a team is our ability to stick together is going to take us further than anything else we've got. With the youthfulness within the team, with the seniors being the leaders in this, having been there, done that, our ability to stick together is really what's going to take us as far as we can go.
And then, you know, I heard over the summer, you know, offensive line's going to be, you know, an issue, and then defense is going to. Hey, our offensive line held up, and our defense scored 2 touchdowns, and more importantly, talk about big number 90 scoring that touchdown because someone was like, well, someone probably should have run him down. And I was like, if I was in front of him, I wouldn't even get. I would have bailed.
Yeah, my phone. Didn't stop ringing, I don't think, until, well, it really hasn't stopped ringing if you ask my wife. But it hadn't stopped ringing with college coaches after Duncan ran that back. Just to see a guy 6'4", 290 run the way that he runs.
Freshman?
Sophomore.
Sophomore.
Just really explosive. I mean, I think the overall attitude of the team on Thursday night, really the effort. Level of execution was solid, but I thought the level of effort is really what pulled us through that. And so early on in the year, you're going to lack some execution. The fine-tuning, we hope there's growth within that execution. I mean, that's the goal. But the level of effort, if it can stay the same, that gives you a chance right there.
And I told somebody that Thursday night, I said, you know, we played last year, the first Thursday, at one of the greatest places to play as a pro, Cowboy Stadium, and I said, and then we start this year at one of the greatest high school arenas to play in, Tiger Stadium at Graham Park. And to me, I was really worried because it was a Thursday night, which people had to work the next day, and it was 100 degrees, and I was just thinking, you know, we're not going to. It was freaking packed on our side. Yeah. So
no, it was a great turnout. It's fun to hear other coaches come from outside of East Texas that have never played here. Coach Rayburn does a great job at Lone Star. I mean, just traditionally one of the bigger 5A schools that are year in and year out making a run. And it's great to get their responses after the game of what it's like to play at Tiger Stadium. And they all love the nostalgia of it, but they love that it's a football stadium. And that's, I mean, obviously other things take place there, but that's on a Friday night in Texas in September. It feels like football's here. And so they get just the closeness, the loudness. Other coaches truly are. They think it's impressive what we get done out here.
Right, Coach. I got a question. You know, we talked about David J, his play, all that stuff. But tell me about them offensive linemen you got. Let's hear about the guys in the trenches.
Yeah, so you know, it starts with our older guys that have been there, done that. And Evan Holman, our right tackle, has been a 3-year starter for us now. He's one of our top leaders on our team, just consistent in everything that he does in life and in school. Bryce Holmes is our center. Our other senior on the offensive line does a really good job there, extremely intelligent kid. Blackwell, our right guard, this is his first year to start. He's a junior. He's about 6'2", 280. And then our left tackle is freshman Quay Ford right now, 6'6", 270. And then Damian Chisholm's our left guard at 6'4", about 290.
They're definitely some dudes, and I have never seen them in person, but watching them on the production, they look huge.
They grew up last week. I mean, like I said this earlier, but that was a really one of the biggest concerns with Lone Star was the amount of depth they had. They were able to roll in about 8 to 10 different guys on the D line that had all been starters previous years, and I was really pleased with. We had to take advantage of 4 and 5 yard runs and be happy with it. And as a play caller, that's difficult and as a running back, that's difficult because you're wanting that explosive play. You're wanting that 4 yards to be 20 plus.
Right.
And so for us to be able to average 4 yards a run, a carry against them, we felt that was where we had to just sustain, be consistent with it, and be content with it, to not try to jump ahead of ourselves and do too much. And the offensive line did a great job. So.
Really a solid game by Javari, and then T-Ball. Man, he kind of showed out and showed some glimpses of what we may see the rest of next 3 years with him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Those kids are used to, Javari rushed for 1,200 yards last year. He's used to big plays. And so you can get really frustrated as a runner, and you can take that out on your offensive line. You can take it out on the team. And he did a good job at just withstanding what Lone Star was doing and taking what he was getting and just being content with it.
Coach, I made a prediction to them the other night. I was like, Duncan, when he's a senior, will be a top 50 player in the country.
It's going to be interesting what he ends up playing in college. We feel like he's built for what we do defensively. I mean, I don't think there's any question he could play offensive line. I think that's the question a lot of colleges are trying to figure out right now is he a guard in college? Is he a defensive tackle? I mean, his dad's closer to 6'7", 6'9". He was a college basketball player. So is he done growing? And so I think he's still 15 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a long ways to go before I think we see the end result of what Duncan McGee will look like with several of these other kids as well.
I don't want to fast forward on it, but he's going to be such a problem in 2 years.
Oh man,
He's a problem now.
well,
I know, but in 2 more years, you ain't going to want to be on the field with him.
I was watching the game. I had to get off the game. I text Ben, I don't remember if I text Ben or Morgan. I said, hey, what grade's this kid in? And they were like, oh, he's a sophomore. I was like, whoa,
As soon as he ran that ball back, I looked at somebody and said, we're going to get 20, 30,000 views on that video. And we're over 100 right now.
Yeah,
I posted two different variations of it that's getting so many views.
He played football in 8th grade. That was his first year to ever play. And really, 9th grade was his first organized football. 8th grade, he was just kind of out there. And so this is, if you really look at it, this is his full second year to ever play football.
Yeah.
And Lone Star, 2 of their guys, I don't think we'll see a better tailback the rest of the year.
He was something else.
Yeah, he was special. And then that number, I can't get number 15, the middle linebacker, out of my mind. I mean, that dude, if you were building a college middle linebacker, that's what they would look like. That guy made people.
He had 100+ tackles last year as a junior.
Yeah, he was a good ball player. Just real physical, smart. He was never out of position, and he's played a ton of snaps over the last several years. And so we really felt like defensively that was the strong point. Was their front 6 were going to be a problem all night long, and that was kind of the focal point as we were putting a game plan in.
You got to look like going up against some guys like that you're going to possibly see some teams like that down the stretch and in the playoffs, and to know that your guys went toe for toe with them on the first Thursday night.
I think the biggest thing, one of our players said it yesterday. I think he said it as good as anybody could. He said we cannot be an entitled team. I think that's the biggest thing is they hear everything coming out of that game, and going into this week's game, which is Colleyville Heritage, they're no slouch.
Talk a little bit about them.
Yeah, so Colleyville Heritage, so you talk about regions in the state in UIL, they're Region 1, 5A Division 2. So in our division, just a different region where we really wouldn't match up with them down the road. But traditionally, Colleyville Heritage, for what it is in Region 1, is always in the 3rd or 4th round. They've been very consistent. So they were our rival when I was in high school. It just opened up. But have been very consistent with a ton of talent coming out of there year in and year out. And really, you look at football and baseball, they've been amazing on what they've produced over there. And so this is a great opportunity for us to treat this week like a playoff-type atmosphere, to go into a large stadium. That'll be a hostile environment. They'll pack their side out for sure. We'll travel well. And they're, in some polls, ranked higher than us. And so it's an opportunity to play a playoff team, to see where we are, just to play consistently 2 weeks in a row. And as our kids said, not be an entitled team, but a team that wants to continue to make its mark.
On your road, your road schedule, let's say DFW.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like for you? I'm assuming you have to leave super early to account for traffic, I would assume.
Man, you know what's crazy for us? Often it's easier for us to drive to Dallas than it is Tyler. I mean, just because I-30 is a straight shot. Now it's a little harder to get this far in the DFW that we're going, but it's not bad. We leave out of here at 1:30. We try to get there by 4:30. That's a 2.5 hour mark before the game starts to relax, eat, get taped, and get ready to go.
I guess that sounds about right.
It's
I
a
was just thinking-
caravan. I'll tell you that.
Oh,
It
yeah,
is
yeah,
a
yeah.
freaking caravan.
There's
It
a
looks
lot
like
that goes to it.
It looks like Alabama's rolling into town.
So do you ride in the box truck, Billy?
Yeah, I get a ride. I catch a
You
ride.
catch a ride. That's what you do. You're
Catch a ride.
not on the charter buses.
No, I'm not driving my own car.
Did y'all get new buses? I like those.
Yeah, look, we've got a couple of those right now. I think we're trying to get up to as many as 10.
Golly.
And so, yeah, Ken Reese has done a really tremendous job just developing our transportation for what we offer for our kids for all things.
I'm assuming they're wrapped. Is that?
Digital effects?
Yep. I was thinking there's no way they were painted like that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, had digital effects written
Now
all
you
over.
now you got me wanting to. I'm wondering what these buses look like. I need to see.
Oh,
them.
they're black with the tiger logo like that on the side, if I remember right.
Right.
I mean, they're sweet.
Right.
But shout out to Digital Effects. They wrap all the game day stuff. They wrap our set. They do almost all, if not
They do all of ours.
everything.
They do all of ours.
Yeah. Cody over at Digital Effects has built an amazing business. I still remember when Cody, I just call it over by the railroad tracks. I don't even know how to describe where it's at. But I remember the first time pulling in there, being like, is this back here? You know?
Right.
And what he's been able to,
He's got a sweet place now.
yeah, he does. He does. Great business for him, and glad to see he's doing well and does great work too. I mean, I've had multiple vehicles wrapped with him. So you should check that out, buddy, with your high country. I know you can afford it.
Oh well, so no, I don't know about all that.
They're
but,
gonna get hooks
But
and
I, but
wrap
I'm not.
buses
But
now.
I,
I just don't know how he doesn't have. I have a blue truck. He doesn't even have a blue truck. He's not real. I'm telling
because
you.
you're
He's
a
a poser.
behind the scenes Hooks fan, and that's you're coming out.
I am a Hooks fan, but blue's also my favorite color. Hence all the blue on the set, the logo above our head, and all that.
There was a moon that was blue or something, wasn't there?
It wasn't blue. I stayed up
Okay.
last night till like 1 o'clock in the morning to see this dang moon. It was yellow like
Yeah,
every
it was
other
orange
night.
and all that good stuff. So I guess it was shining bright for the Tigers.
Hey, Hook's #1 fan is watching right now, Mr. Corey Reynolds.
I seen him at baseball last night. I didn't have a chance to speak to him, but I seen him over there doing his deal coaching. So
I like Corey.
Oh, yeah.
He isn't really a Hooks fan though. I ain't ever seen him nowhere.
well, he moved to Pleasant Grove and all
See,
that.
I thought he
stuff.
moved back to Hooks.
That I don't know. I mean, Corey, if you had to let me know. But
I thought it was a couple years ago he moved back to Hooks or something.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not too sure about that.
Well, Coach, I had a question for
Yep.
an observation. You're going to have Benton, Louisiana, Colleyville Heritage, and Frisco Lone Star.
Mm-hmm.
If that stretch doesn't prepare you, I guess nothing will.
No, you're right. I mean, you look at you Longview scrimmage, so obviously Longview is Longview. Lone Star in the top 10, Colleyville Heritage in the top 10, Benton, Louisiana in the top 10 in Louisiana, and then you go 6A Tyler Legacy. And so it really is the goal is to be prepared for what it's going to look like, not just now, but in the long run of this thing. And so you got to be mentally and physically be able to withstand all that and stay healthy through it all, but at the same time be able to grow your team to the level of production that they're capable of and find out what you can do.
And if you get through that gauntlet, it should be much easier come district play.
It is. What we did find out last year, this being the second year of that schedule, is we've got to find a way to not get bored with what we see later on. Because the atmosphere that was created early on in the year, that doesn't always follow, right? Particularly on the road, you're playing in a lot more quieter stadiums. It's not as big, and so we've got to do a really good job of being contained within ourselves, but not yet bored with what we're getting we're prepared for. We talk about it all the time. Just don't be bored with success.
Right.
Now, here's the deal, Coach. Could y'all match up with Hooks?
Coach Birdwell and them do a phenomenal job. They've got a really good team over there. We talked to Coach Ledford actually quite a bit, man. We say this all the time at Texas High. We are pulling for everybody to win a state championship. One of the things, we always check the scores. We're excited to see every team in this area win. I mean, there's camaraderie within the profession, but as much as anything, we want to see Texarkana area on the map. And right now, what's being able to be produced at every school around the area is talent for talent, quality of level of play. It's got to be per capita one of the better places to see football right now in the state of Texas.
Yeah. Well,
And
we got all these teams in Bowie County ranked in the state top 10 in Texas. It's really phenomenal.
For our size of area, it truly is. And so we want to see everybody be successful. I mean, there's not a team we don't want to see on the next morning Saturday that's not done well. It does well for our area. It does well for our kids and the promotion of our kids in so many facets. And game day plays a huge part in being able to do all that.
I wonder if like 10 years ago, has it always been like this, or is it just more accessible now?
No, it hadn't
with
always
social
been
media.
In the profession, it has not always been like this. I mean, I think Coach Birdwell's done a phenomenal job at Hooks. When you talk coaches, it's a job that coaches have always said, man, that could be a really good place with the right. And it's smaller towns, having been in those and coached in those, talent ebbs and flows, right? And so you've got to hit it at the right time. And they've got a lot of talent right now and they've hit it at the right time with a great staff. And you look at Atlanta and what Coach Morton's done there, and Coach Gibson, and obviously what Pleasant Grove and what they've been able to just establish and sustain there. I mean, I think you're going to see the same thing at Arkansas High on the other side of town with what Coach Outlaw's done and Coach Davidson then being in the playoffs every year. I mean, I think you've just got really good runs of talent right now with really good staffs, and it's putting Texarkana area on the map.
I like it.
Very good time to.
It's good news for me.
And one thing.
Good business model.
And one thing I can say about that is, all the success that all the area schools are having right now, all the little kids that are seeing it. So that drives them little kids that, somebody that may possibly not even like football, then they all of a sudden start liking football and turn into that player, 5, 6, 7 years down the road.
Absolutely.
I say it all the time. Like growing up, I remember playing football on south side of Longview on High Street, and everybody did it, and you all acted like you were a Lobo. And I mean, it was like not a safe area to be playing football on a Saturday. Let's just say that. But it was like that's what you did. You went and watched the Lobos on Friday, and you went and tried to emulate it on Saturday. And then you grow up and you get into middle school and you go to Judson, Foster, or wherever else, and then you get to high school and you're like, and there'll be like 300 kids playing football. It's stupid.
Right.
Grades will come out and then there'll be one football team. That's what happened my year. I always like to tell you, I went from not playing to a starter.
All because of grades.
All because of grades in 1 week. But then you get that Rockin' L on the side of the helmet, and then but it starts at such a young age,
Right.
and we have great little league programs here. I saw Kendrick King was watching. He's one of my favorite guys at these lower levels of football. I know he's in middle school now, but when he's doing the little league stuff, you can't tell me those kids aren't going to play on Friday nights.
Right.
Is that associated with the Texas High or TISD, the tackle football league that those guys are in? Or
Yeah, it's not necessarily associated with our district. I think the goal is to emulate as far down as we can, offensively and defensively, and just the relationships that we want to see established at the youngest age possible. And so some group of men in the community kind of latched onto our idea. We already have an intramural flag league. We've had questions about tackle and not really sure how to wrap our brain around it, and some people approached and said, we would love to take the tackle side if you would let us. And so they took the tackle side, and so from kindergarten up, they're Texas Tigers. They have to live in our district to be a part and all these different things. But they wear the orange tee on the side of their helmet from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. And they run the same offense and defense.
looked like they had a good first week.
They did have a good first week. They went down to White House and took care of business.
Yeah.
And it's funny to watch an 8-year-old run one of our offensive plays, sometimes better than we run. But you can get that established there, and you can put good people around them to teach the core values of what you want to see in a kid becoming a man. And that's ultimately the goal in it all.
One thing I know I don't even know a good way to say it, but I started playing tackle football in first grade.
Right.
And now you hear they don't start playing tackle football till like 7th grade, which, whatever. But I don't feel like you can hurt each other.
So
when you're 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade. But I do
It
feel
will
like when you start
surprise
playing
you.
tackle football for the first time in 7th grade, you can't hurt each other.
So I'll say this just about my two boys. I was kind of I played Little League football when I was a kid. So when they were coming, I was like, man, do I hold them back till 7th grade or do I go ahead and let them play? And they were just beating me up about playing. Well, so I was like, all right, we're going to do this. So I let them play. Well, at that 1st and 2nd grade level, man, I can hit you harder with a pillow. So I was like, oh, this is fine. They're actually learning how to wear their equipment. That's the biggest deal. Wear their equipment, run a few plays. And then it got more advanced as they got into the 5th and 6th grade. And just like Coach just said, instilling them core values, what hard work looks like. And, hard work pays off. So that rolls into when they start the 7th grade into the school sports. Yeah. So I'm glad I let my kids play that when they were younger. It's good for them.
I feel like I'd rather my kid learn to take a hit early on rather than when he's 13 years old.
You're going to figure out if he's got it or not.
Yeah. You turn to a basketball player real quick in 7th grade.
That's right.
Yeah. But, Coach, man, we know you got stuff to do. We appreciate you coming on. Texas High plays tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Make the trip, but if you can't, it'll be on game day via Tiger Vision.
Thanks for having us.
Go Tigers.
Appreciate it.
That'll be it for us. Appreciate you.